Hey YouTube, it's JP Dillon. This is a 1984 Panasonic CT-1110D, and this was shipped to me with the complaint of vertical output issues, non-linearity distortion, and he was going to yank the board and send it to me, which I really, no, I don't like doing that because I need to be able to see what it's like, and it was just, recap it, but you got to do the setups after that. So I'm glad I didn't turn it on because the board and stuff isn't connected, it's just floating in there. So I removed the board, and there it sits, and it needs to be recapped because it has all the famous purple Matsushita capacitors that are peeing all over the board, and it's amazing the set worked. So yeah, and I've already made a map of all the capacitors that need to be changed out and their values. So it's just a matter of yanking them all out, replacing them, powering up, and hopefully there's nothing else other than just the standard maintenance. So yeah, all the little red dots on the bottom of the board. And somebody was doing some soldering on the vertical IC, so there was definitely some issues. A couple of caps got changed out already, but that was probably some time ago given their looks and their date. So this is going to be a fun one. Just a lesson here, kids. Send me the whole thing and send it to me in a way that I can just run it, because I don't want to have to put it back together to find out what it's really doing wrong. It takes so much less time if you just send me the set. This one is not going to be very fun because there's so many unknowns until we recap the thing. And yeah, long and short of it, I did turn it on, hook it up briefly, and it does have some vertical distortions and things, but yeah. If you're going to bring something to me for repair, please bring it to me complete. So I'm going to get into yanking these caps out and replacing them. We're about 2/3 of the way through. Little pile of parts there. I did the sweep sections, power supply sections. Now I'm just on to the video on IF here, and then we can pop this thing back in and do the setup adjustments on it. Someone's been in here before because I had to redo a lot of soldering here in the sweep section around the vertical IC, and in the power supply it was really bad. Like somebody had used a solder that was like 99% flux, and so there wasn't really any solder underneath. So yeah, I'm going to finish recapping the sound in IF here, and then we'll pop it back in and see what needs to be done then. Alright, so here she is, all finished up. Our nice fat bag of wonderful Matsushita capacitors. And there were some that were starting to pee in the vertical section and the power supply section, so glad those got changed out. When I came over to the video section here, this capacitor, which I've changed out, had been replaced previously by somebody, and it was reverse biased, so hopefully that didn't hurt the video processor IC. That was in the color section. And then did a lot of board rework because the capacitors that had peed ate part of the foil traces in various areas. So like over here I had to jumper that one. There's another one over here that I had to jumper. This guy up here, I had to fix a couple of spots here on the vertical IC. This jumper here where one of the power supply caps was pretty crappy. I did some resoldering. Still, I need to clean this up a little bit. Maybe scrape between these leads because that's just a little bit close there. But yeah, this was worked on previously by somebody. I don't know who. Doesn't matter. I had to correct a lot of solder work. And I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on this because he's really only paying me for about an hour's worth of time. And that hour's almost up. So now that it's recapped, we're going to pop it back in the set and hope that there's no underlying problems that we couldn't see, because Again, I received this disassembled and everything disconnected. And he has pictures of it that he sent me showing it working with vertical deflection problems. Let's just check that regulator IC there. Just wanted to make sure. So hopefully those are all gone, but we got to find out. So let's pop it back in the set. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is put the little skirt back on the potentiometers. There's a little felt skirt that goes over top of these. And let's see, I think that's how we're supposed to go. And then there's knobs that have to get slid back in here. Don't mind me, I'm just going to block everyone's view here. I'm trying to hold this up with one hand while I can show it on camera. I've cleaned all these pots and switches already, so it's nothing more than just putting it back together. And then we got to move all this out the way. Slide it all in here. A very cramped cabinet. And there's two little tracks on each side that we have to get it into. Assuming it'll let me do that. I'm pretty sure that's not how that's supposed to go. What's going on down here? Yeah, when I got this, it was loose and flopping around inside the cabinet, so let me put it up on its face here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, so that goes in there like so. Seems like there should be more support for this. There's just not very much support at all. I think everything's supported by the cabinet, really. So let's just start hooking stuff back up. Got the high voltage connection here. And we have our audio connection. And then the yoke hookups. Supposed to be a ground spot there. I'm trying my best not to let this board flex too much, because obviously if it flexes too much, then we have to worry about breaking things. And let's see, this is for the yoke. This is for our front panel. Let's see, what else am I missing here? I want to say, yeah, here we go. Out front here. There's this connection wedged back in here, which I gotta get. Which means now I have to reseat all of this. Yeah, they really don't make this nice for you. These are all tangled up. Okay. And then there are two loose connections here. So I'll need to pause a moment while I consult the service literature. and make sure I'm hooking up those two connections, because one is a 12-volt supply line and the other one's a ground line, and I need to see where these go. Well, actually, let's see, that one's number 4A. 4A, there we go. So that goes here. It's nice and labeled. And then this other one, 01C. That's test point. I got one back here, but that's test point also. That's TP91. Trying to see where this falls, because oftentimes you can look at the slack and stuff and figure out where it's supposed to go based on where it kind of falls. Pull this out a little bit, see if I can discover anything more about it. Yeah. Alright, let me reference something really quick, and then we'll make sure we hook that up in the right spot. Okay, so it looks like the final wire actually went to a point on the neck board here, which is essentially just grounded out from the aquadag through the board to the chassis. So we're all hooked up, and hopefully when we apply signal to this thing it doesn't explode or anything, but we got to plug it in and find out. Alright, it's now or never. Got high voltage. Whew. That is super bright. Guy must have been messing with the screens and stuff. Let's turn that down. Okay, so that's good. Definitely a little bit of tint. Let's flip the service switch. Yikes. That's pretty bright. So somebody's been fiddling with this. And this doesn't fully cut off the video. So that's why you get a flickering effect there. I think what I'm going to try to do is hook it up to a steady signal source, and then we'll do the setups. Got a little bit of vertical roll there first. Come on. There we go. Alright. So we definitely are favoring green here. Let me get some appropriate tools and see if we can turn these down a little. So these are cut off. Red, blue. Let's see, they're not labeled very well. And as this thing warms up, it's changing, so the CRT is definitely equalizing. I'm just trying to get an appropriate tool to fit these adjustments. Let's see where he's got them cranked at. That looks like. Alright, so I'm going to put these at about 40% up. All about the same space there. So this is weird. There is no green cutoff. There is a blue and red cutoff and a blue and red drive. How weird is that? Alright, so we're going to have to approach this differently. What we're going to do is turn the red and blue cutoffs all the way down, and then we're going to adjust the screen until we see green. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll adjust the red until we see an amber line. Alright, and now we'll adjust the blue until we see a white line. That's pretty close. And let's bring it back. That's pretty close there. Controls are still a little touchy. Let's work them a bit. Contrast halfway up there. Okay. Let's tune off channel a little bit. And I'm going to adjust the horizontal hold until the bars stand up. It'll let me do that. That's really touchy. Okay. That's going to ensure that we lock in really well. Alright. Sharpness, I'll just leave that at midpoint. Let's adjust our vertical height control and see if we have equal amounts of scan here. Let's switch over to a crosshatch. Let's get something a little thicker. That's better. Fine tuning's a little off. Let's make sure our AFT isn't on. It's a pain to fine tune this thing. There we go. That crisps it up a little bit. Okay, let's go back to let's see if we got color. We do. And then tint. We're getting a little fringe bar here on the side. Let's see if adjusting the fine tuning fixes that. It's so hard to tweak the fine tuning on this thing. That's just how it is, I guess. Okay, color palette, no. Looking so far so good. Linearity looks pretty good. There's a little tiny bit of stretch up here, but I don't know if we'll be able to resolve that. That may just be how it is. I mean, it looks okay otherwise. So, let's see, I think we're good here. Really need to hook an actual signal up to it to get good black level response. Let's see, we have a sub-contrast, automatic brightness level, automatic picture control, RFAGC. Let's just adjust this to the correct threshold. There we go. That's right where the AFT locks in. Okay, let's feed it a real signal. That CRT is really bright.
Invest in your well-being. Sign up today.
Okay. That looks pretty good. A little bit of saturation on the color there. A little excessively bright. Yeah, the black level is a little high. So, let's see here. I can adjust this a little bit better. Yeah, auto brightness level, sub contrast, okay. Let's come in here to the auto brightness. Let's go between channels here. There we go. And we can adjust the sharpness a little bit. That helps. Still a little bit saturated on the color there. Looks pretty good. This thing is razor sharp. Looking really good. Grayscale's good. Linearity's good. It's hard to see because the camera keeps blinking it. It's super bright. Great looking picture. Come on. So this is happy. I got really lucky with this one that I didn't find any scary things wrong with it after I put it all back together. But folks, if you're going to send me something to fix, I'd appreciate it if you don't take it apart and send it to me disconnected and everything. But this turned out real nice. The owner's going to be real happy with it. So yeah, all I got to do is box it back up now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. More stuff to come. I'm waiting on service literature for that KCS 149 because as you'll see in the video when I release it, lots of troubleshooting in the sound section. So until then, enjoy.